Okay, here we are. It is Thursday. Hello, hello, everybody. We have a special guest today. I am so honored to be here with one of the most wonderful women. Totally gonna get emotional that I know. This woman has birthed me, raised me, shown me the way. We have gone through so much together. It is really quite amazing the journey that we've had, and it has had some major rough times. And a lot of it actually stemmed around our own issues around body and shame and weight and what we've done to come through that. So today we're actually going to hear about your story. And I know that you're like in the middle of doing a bunch of things. So in the little post where I said who we're interviewing today, I said Chef Cindy Gershon. And it's so cool what you're doing in your world right now. Would you mind just sharing with everybody a little bit about the cool stuff that you're doing at Mount Diablo High School now?
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm in the middle of teaching right now. So I have my students on the website, and I opened it up so that you guys can all hear the interview that I'm giving right now. So they're working on their project, and I've been a teacher here at Mount Diablo High School this will be my 10th year. And I teach sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I teach in the sustainability and hospitality pathway. And my goal, my objective for coming to school was to see if I couldn't change the food in the cafeteria. So they said, yeah, we'll let you change the school and the food in the cafeteria, but would you mind teaching as you go along? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to do this. I'm a restaurateur and have been in the restaurant business for 40 years now. So it was a little bit out of my bandwidth, but I figured, I've had a lot of young people working for me, and I raised a lot of kids in my home. We have a blended family. I have Rose and Joe and Danielle, who are my children. I'm their mother, and then I have 5 wonderful stepchildren that I raised, and so we've got 8 children blended, and it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. I've done, a lot of good things with my children, and I've done some things that, it's. I keep saying I'm falling forward, not backwards. I heard a great speaker, Denzel Washington, talking about, you don't want to fall back on anything. You want to fall forward so you can see where you're going. And when you hit your head. So I have fallen forward a lot with raising children and being in business. And one of the things, my biggest obstacle for myself was my health and my weight. And 20 years ago, I lost almost 100 pounds. And I've been able to keep it off through good nutrition and finding out why. It's one thing to take off the weight, but if you can't find out what caused you to go there, and then how you can sustain it. Easy to take off, hard to maintain, just like anything else. Easy to get married, hard to maintain that marriage. Easy to have kids, hard to stick in there and raise them all the way through. So it's not about, I've always been a good starter. It was just a maintenance person that I had a problem with. So if I understood what happened to me with the food, and it's not like then I can eat anything I want. It was like I needed to break that obsession that someday I'll be able to eat normally like everybody else, because everybody else is not eating normally and they have the issues too. I wanted to eat like the people that were successfully maintaining their health and their integrity around their body and the people around them. That's what I wanted to learn to do. And so I set out to do that. And I researched, I've talked to doctors. I've been involved with Dr. Robert Lustig. I've been his chef for 15 years. And I would, nutritionist, I read everything I could to try to figure it out. Trying to figure it out is really hard if you don't change what you're doing. So I needed to not just figure it out, I needed to have a sustainable way of keeping my health and my weight stable, and my health to stay healthy. So my goal is to take that to the schools and to begin to practice that with the children. So I've developed an introduction to hospitality in our sustainable pathway, and I teach the kids about what's happening in the world, in how are other countries doing it? What's the Paris Accord? What's it like in France and Germany and South America and China? You know, what do we have in common with them? How is their migration from their country to our country, and what happened to their health when they got here? In the junior year, I teach kids about their own body and nutrition and the 6 essential nutrients and environmental waste and ecosystems and what kind of businesses are coming out and how we need to change so that the environment is healthy to support us to be healthy, but what are the jobs that are available there? And then in the senior year, and that's what my class is right now, I'm teaching them, what is the history? How did we get here? You know, what happened with the restaurant industry? You know, the French Revolution, and what happened with slavery, and how did the food get here, and what was in the South, and how did we move from slavery, where people owned other people to work for them, to some forms of slavery that we have now. We call them prison systems, where people do something wrong and they go into the prison, and then they have to do this work, and they get paid 13 cents an hour, and they have to pay for anything extra in the prison, but they're working. We've institutionalized and we've made a business out of keeping people down. And you know, what happens to the health? Why is the coronavirus impacting people at the bottom and not the people at the top so much? How come we have the environment that we do? Why do jobs go? And I'm rambling here.
Well, I mean,
So, you know,
really
it's all connected. It's all connected.
Sure.
So when you ask me, you know, what is my goal here at MAU, is to help educate all children and have them have the opportunity to take care of themselves, whether they live in Bay Point or Black Hawk. And all children deserve the right to a good education. All children deserve the right to medical. All children deserve the right to a good meal, a safe environment, and clean air and clean water, regardless. And so that's what my goal is. And we deserve that for ourselves too. So that's what I'm doing. I know. Sorry, Rose.
No,
I'm your mom, remember? I can ramble on.
That was the long and the short of it.
That was the long and the short.
I know your senior class is listening, so hey, you guys.
Senior class. You guys want to see this? I'm
here for a few minutes.
I don't know if you can see that. There's the senior class right there. You guys are all live.
So cool. So cool. So yeah, I appreciate you telling us a little bit about where you're at right now. And clearly things have really changed a lot in the last 20 years since this last time that you got that 100 pounds off, and now you've been sustaining it. And it's kind of a natural progression to then look back and say, what happened? Like, what could I have used when I was younger, some knowledge or information or resources that I didn't really have, and I want the next generation to have that. That's really beautiful. So I'm wondering if you would be willing to give us a sneak peek back into what it was like for you growing up, and where you think some of these your relationship with food and your body, like where it got twisted to the point of where you then, were seeking help.
Oh my God, did you just put me on the spot in front of all my students? Okay, guys.
Surface-ish, I mean,
surface-ish. Okay, when I was growing up in the 60s, when I was a kid, I was born in 1955. So in the 60s, first of all, breastfeeding was out. When my mom had me in 1955, people were not breastfeeding anymore. Everybody was giving their kid a bottle. And the formula in the bottle was the canned pet milk and high fructose Karo syrup, which is high fructose corn syrup. And that was the formula. So being born and putting sugar into a child, and a lot of us at that time ended up with obesity problems as we got older, my generation, because of the formula that they gave us. So they have come to find that and sick a lot. When you're bottle fed instead of breastfed, you end up not having that natural immune system that comes from being, breastfed. It's the bacteria in the mother's milk that lines the gut of the baby, and they resist getting colds and flus and such as long as they're being breastfed. Well, I ended up very sick as a child. And for the first 5 years, I had ear infections. I had to have I had tonsillitis all the time. I had my tonsils removed. I had ear infections. I was sick. I was underweight. I couldn't eat because I was sick all the time. And so my parents just would keep giving me, they did not know that fruits and veggies were important. They just thought, just get her to eat something. So it was white pasta, it was bread, white bread, a lot of starchy things because my throat hurt. And I was a sick, kind of like a sick, skinny child. And then I had my tonsils out and things changed because then I wasn't getting sick anymore. So, but also it changed my metabolism. And I started to eat. I started to crave those foods that had been given to me. And I was also probably a little depressed as a kid. You have siblings, your parents don't pay as much attention to you. I was basically raised by my grandparents. Because I was a wild kid, raised by my grandparents. And, it was kind of, you want candy, you want ice cream, you want this. And then that's when a lot of processed food, McDonald's started, Pizza Hut, all these different fast foods. And my mother was a terrible cook because she was 16 when I was born. And my grandmother, it wasn't a lot of fruits. We had a lot of fruits and veggies, but mostly you were able to eat kind of starchy things. And I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel good as a kid. So, but when I ate candy, I felt better. And if I was sad when I wasn't with my mother or able to be with my family, my grandmother, if I cried to go home, my grandmother would give me ice cream or give me cake or give me soda or give me something to placate me. But the weight didn't really start to come on until I was 9, 10 years old. And it wasn't that I was overweight. I thought I was overweight. And I was a little chubby, but I was going through puberty, but nobody explained anything to me. And my grandmother, who was about 300 pounds, my father he hated fat women. And he told my mother, if you ever get fat or let my daughters get fat, I'm going to leave you. And my mother was just like, oh my gosh. So she was always honest, girls, you're getting fat, you're growing out of your clothes. And then she would hand you a cookie, or she'd hand you, because people didn't know that what you were eating was it was the sugar and the flour. And so they just thought a calorie was a calorie. So at night, I'd try not to eat so much. And my mom would say, well, just drink water and go to bed. But Mom, it's like 6 o'clock. I want to eat more, drink water and go to bed. So I just nobody knew what to do other than either don't eat or do eat or take a diet pill. So they started giving me diet pills when I was 12, 13 years old, which set up a whole syndrome for me doing diet pills and dieting. And I literally dieted my way to over 200 pounds. And I was always dieting, always obsessed, and just hated my body it's not that I hated my body so much as I never felt good. I never felt good in my skin. And I think, what I have found out through all these years is if I eat well, I feel well. And it changed my moods. But I was so addicted to the sugar and the flour and the diet pills and the alcohol, and it wasn't like I drank a lot, but, I'd have a couple of glasses of wine. I mean, I'm adult, I can have glasses of wine, but you have glasses of wine every day, and you're taking diet pills every morning, and you're drinking caffeine to stay awake, and you're doing all of these things, and you're going to the gym, and you're never really happy, and you're just always kind of like knowing something's not right. And I have to say, 20 years ago, when I changed how I ate, it's been 21 years now, I would not turn one bad day that I've had in this last 20 years. I would not give up one of those for one of those days when I was in the food. My worst day today was my best day before. And every day I feel really good and happy. And, sometimes I cry. I've had lots of things have happened. My husband has passed away. My children have moved on, all of these things. But really, I'm happy. I'm happy to show up for these students. They're amazing. I'm happy to show up for you. I have amazing children and grandchildren, and I live in a wonderful community. And I feel happy because I'm happy inside. So I see the world as a happy place. When I'm miserable and I'm in the food, or I've got a, whatever food hangover, the world does not look like a good place. So I'm a happy camper today. I know you're going, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
No, it's nice. I mean, I think that there are so many of us. Marion says, she's like, oh my God, are we already crying? Seriously. I know, because, I'm more than 20 years old. So for my whole upbringing, I remember you crazy and angry and up and down and in the food and gaining weight and losing weight and being on the diet pills and drinking and just the craziness of that. I mean, we didn't know it was crazy at the time, like whatever, it was what it was. It's not until you kind of like break away from that and then have some like peace and sanity and serenity and calmness and don't have those issues anymore, that then you look back and go, wow, that was painful.
oh, it's crazy.
No wonder, right? Like you gathered the habits and patterns and belief systems of the people that you were surrounded with, and then you pass that on. I mean, I think I was 20ish and I was already well into my own nightmare by the time that you really found some peace and some freedom and an answer to your troubles and problems.
Oh, us parents, we certainly spew all over our children, and I think that's why I work with kids. That's why I work with you kids, guys, is because I'm trying to make amends for what I did to my own children. And you guys are grown. Nothing I can do, but I can help these children out. And that's what I'm hoping as, I hope that I can be a better example to young people coming up, just as you are being a good example to the people that you're helping. That's all we can do. We can just, fall forward and be of service to others. So, and be able to count. And I know that, I look at how you live now and what you do with your food. You shore me up. When I look at you and I see you, putting all that good food on your plate and what you're doing in your life, I go, yeah, keep doing it, Sin. Keep doing it. And when I see my students, changing how they eat and how they see the world, or not giving up or having hope, I mean, if I can give you a little bit to keep you going, and isn't that what we're all supposed to do? If, we all show up, we're showing up not just for ourselves, but we're showing up for the people around us. And you, every day, Rose, when you show up for those people that are watching you, you are saying it can be done one more day. And the people that show up to watch you, they get something from you and you get something from them. And isn't that what life is? As you give, so shall you receive. If it's good for me and good for you, then it's a good thing. And I just keep looking at it, just keeps being a good thing. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be willing to grow. And I see that in all of my students. Every time they show up, I know that they're willing to grow. Every time you show up and the people you're working with show up, they are willing to grow. And if you're willing, I'm willing. And nobody has to be perfect. Nowhere does it say that. We are not saints, but we are willing to grow along lines to help each other.
That was beautiful and powerful.
You're pretty amazing, Rose.
So true. So true. Okay, well, I just so appreciate your time and thank you so much for being here. I guess as like a final word, what is something that you would like to leave everybody who's watching right now with? A little tidbit of information or knowledge or wisdom that you've gained over these last 20 years in releasing that 100 pounds, and then also figuring out how to live life without the overeating, without that mindless eating, without that sugar fix. What was something that you would say?
I would say that for me, at the end of the day, sometimes I'm exhausted and I go, ugh, this no way. This is too much. And I tell myself, you know what, Cindy? Go to bed, give all your troubles and your worries to God. He's going to be up. He's going to be up all night anyway. And then it'll be resolved. And when I get up in the morning, I know that I've got breakfast waiting for me. I got another meal and I have a new day. And it works every time. I could be deadbeat exhausted. And I just tell myself it'll be okay in the morning because something bigger than me is going to take over. And the resolve will be there. The letter will be in the mail. The answer will come. So that is what has gotten me through, knowing that I got one more day and one more meal.
One more day at a time, one meal at a time. That's right. Just keep it simple, right? That's what I say too. Keep it simple.
And it'll always look better tomorrow. Trust me, it'll always be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Chef Cindy, thank you. Class, thank you for letting me have her for a little bit.
Woo, let's clap for Rosie. Hey guys, are you there? I think they all went to sleep. They're clapping, Rose.
Awesome, beautiful.
They all get an A for today.
That's right. You did.
Yay! Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, blessing anytime.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.